Yes, guys, it's another episode of Fight Talk Live. It's Danny Glover. It's October Red. It's Base the Kid. You know what it is. Welcome. Press
Yep. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, we're a bit slow with the old overlays here.
Okay, here we go.
How is everyone?
All the better for seeing you two. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas to everyone in the chat. If you celebrate it, if you don't, happy holidays and happy rest days. If you are able to get some. Danny, I guess let's start with your adventures over there in Accra, Ghana. Seeing as you literally just got back like yesterday. Talk us through sort of your time over there, what's kind of been going on, and then I guess we'll get into some of the stuff from there, and yeah, we'll figure out where we take this.
Yeah, so was in Accra, Ghana for the first time in my life. First time in sub-Saharan Africa. I've been to the north with the in the Arabian Peninsula section, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco. But yeah, first time in the motherland. And yeah, it was very spiritual. A lot of it walking around remind, and even other people who was there said that it reminds them of Jamaica. They had gullies on
Ew.
the side. Obviously, the some of the foods, the drinks, the people, a lot of hustle and bustle. But yeah, very friendly people, very calm, very helpful, very honest set of people. Um, because there was a few expensive items that was left, and they was handed in all the time or run up to, and given back straight away. Like I remember Craig left his very expensive pair of glasses. He dropped it on the floor. Went to reception and someone had handed it in. He left his earpods on a table like for about 8 hours, and it was still there when he went back to it.
Mm.
Um, I mean, he dropped something in the street. Someone come running up behind. Hey, you dropped this. Like, so people are very honest out there. Um, I was surprised to see a lot of Nigerians are living out there now. They said that they much prefer it. They feel safer. They like it out there. And yeah, it was just a very beautiful experience. And to be around, fellow brothers and sisters. Um, it was very good. Walking in a shop and never feeling like anyone's watching me. That was very refreshing. There's so much I could just talk about, but I'll definitely go back there as on a actual holiday, so I can go to some actual like more landmarks and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely somewhere I will return to.
I loved it. You had an amazing time over there, or at least for the limited time you was there, and
Oh,
it
and
was
the heat was, oh my god, that was very intense. I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, that was very intense.
okay. Right. Well, since we've started with that, let's might as well go to the talking points of that card. Obviously, it was big. Craig Richards, the Spider himself versus Super Dan Azeez, bringing matchroom boxing to Africa and to Ghana. Yeah, Danny, look from the ground floor. Let's allow you to talk about that first, and then yeah.
Yeah, what would you want, go for the card or the
No,
actual main?
just the fight, because if we're gonna be fair to the audience, most of them won't know many on the card apart from possibly Leo Atang and maybe what's his
Freezy.
name I forgot
Freezy.
his name now. No, the
Freezy.
Nishantev?
no Ibrahim something
Diallo.
Diallo, that's the one. Yeah, obviously I know Nishant Dev's on there as well. So look, just talk about the fight, and then if there's any other points that you saw, we can refer to that afterwards.
Yeah, so going into the fight, so yeah, we've got to the arena. I know that it started very early. Was in the changing room, very hot in the changing room. It was a very, like, we had this blow heater. Thankfully, it was in there because it was roasting. Craig didn't need much of a warm up. I don't think anybody was going to get cold that night. Um, but yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I know during the one of the fights, the president came in, John Mahama. They said that the president's coming in, fireworks and all that. But yeah, come to the fight now. Walked out the entrance. There was 12,000 people in there. For some reason, when I did watch it back on the TV, it's like the speakers or the camera. I don't know
Yeah.
what. but it's like their audio's not catching any of the noise, which I know some people complained about. So when I did watch it, I was thinking, oh, it's something to do with the production. I don't know, but yeah, we've come out. Fireworks, fire. I nearly got burnt myself on the stage walking. So yeah, very very hot there. So yeah, first rounds um, come out. Dan Azeez. What I will say, the guy has got some awesome level changing abilities because the way he's able to do this jab up, jab, he does this jack in the box move, and then he's doing it with the right hand and the left hand. And Craig was finding it hard to get to grips with the timing and the angles, and he's like sort of feinting and then coming up from different level changes. Probably one of the most difficult jabs and sort of pot shots he's had to deal with. I'd say probably in his career. So I guess the first three rounds I gave to Dan. The fourth round, Craig started to get his shots more into play, rocked Dan very badly with a straight right hand, had him going for a bit towards the end of the round, which then he got saved. And then there was a right hook that landed as well, and he got saved by the bell, in my opinion, like Zach Morris. Then the fifth round, I gave to Dan, and then from the sixth, I noticed Dan getting tired, and that's when we started pushing him back a bit in the like the seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th. Craig getting the uppercuts into play, the jabs to the body, and Dan was really Dan. And then what it is when they started to get inside now, Craig was working the body, and Dan, I noticed, didn't like them. He got hurt in the sixth round, I believe, with a body shot. I saw his face, he grimaced, and I told Craig to sort of jump on him, but Dan was good at really shelling up, very good defense, and he was kept sort of dipping down. And as Craig's trying to jab him, it's like landing on the top of his head, which was hurting. Craig said his knuckles because he was in the MXs, the Crawford gloves. So Dan was very, very good at that. But and then there was a few body shots which Dan was complaining about was low, which wasn't low, especially one in the 11th where he then took some time, but I could see he was breathing heavy. Um, but I could understand because the intense heat out there, it was very hard. So, but Craig is very, very fit. I know they banked on. They did say after they banked on Dan being more acclimatized as he fought in Nigeria more recently, and being Nigerian descent, he thought maybe be more better under the West African heat. And then the 12th round came probably like 10 seconds in. Craig landed a great 1-2. I know he landed a big 1-2, which sort of forced Dan
onto
onto the ropes, um, which he took well. But yeah, you can see he was hurting there. And then he got hit with a 1-2 in the 12th and final round, which wobbled him as Dan then tried to come in with that jack in the box move. Craig threw a 1-2 left hook. And that left hook, as they both went to throw a left hook together, Craig's was just short but rotated on the inside, and it just poleaxed Dan and took him out like Hurricane Melissa. So and it was that was it really. Craig was celebrating. Then because what it is, Dan went down heavy, and then he kind of sat up. Well, he was out for a few seconds. That's why the ref waved it off. He then sat up, and that's why Craig started celebrating. And then he just like collapsed down, and I was like, "What?" And then I said to Craig, "No, no, he's down." And then that's when he's like, obviously, we halted the celebrations until we realised he was then okay in that. He finally got up, and then yeah, but excellent showing by both men. You know, Dan's one of the man. Went to my school, known him for what 25 years. You know, we're all from the same area. You all know the same people. I'm in even the Forrestal Boys school group where they was talking about it and stuff like that. His cousin Dapo, who was in some of me and Base's classes, he's Dan's cousin. So yeah, we were talking about it. Just said great fight, and it is what it is. And yeah, we'll organise to go out together at some point in the new year. Do you know what I mean? It was a really good fight, and it was very close going up until that going into that last round. It probably one round in it, if that. I heard that the Darren Barkers, we spoke to him and we got the judges' scorecards, and they had like Craig 4 rounds up, but I think it was closer than that, in my opinion. But yeah, 2026 very well, and very very proud of Craig. Won the IBF International Championship. The IBF is still, I think something's going to happen with that very shortly. Um, with the Connor Wallace, Michael Eifert thing, surely, and Craig should be hopefully getting the winner of that.
All right, October. What is your thoughts on it?
Yeah, enjoyed it. Like kind of like what Danny said. It was very very to and fro. I liked it because it was a great boxing match. It was interesting to watch. It was great to see them try and figure each other out. And Craig just got the better of him in the end. I think, like you said, I think one of the key things going into that fight, Dan was saying, he's fought out in Africa before, so that was perceived as a potential advantage. But Craig Richards is obviously extremely fit. I thought they were both tired coming to the end, coming towards the later rounds. They were both seemed to be breathing heavy to me, but obviously it was just the combinations that Craig was able to get off to obviously get that nasty, nasty hook of a shot that just literally, I don't know what came out of his mouth, whether it spit, gum shield, everything, whatever it was, to see him go down. But a great fight. It was it was like they both wanted to be in there and they both wanted to win and they both wanted to entertain the fans and outdo each other. It was a great fight to watch. I loved it. Commiserations, obviously, there can only be one winner. But yeah, very very enjoyable fight.
Danny, it sounds similar that we may have had similar-ish scorecards. I mean, I don't know if the judges had Craig up 4 rounds. I think that's definitely hometown bias, matchroom bias. I mean, I had at the end of the sixth, I had it 5-1 to Dan. Um, I gave Craig the fourth, as you said. But rounds one, two, three, I thought Dan controlled those. Rounds five and six, I thought he had those, but Craig for me took over from the sixth onwards, and it's almost like I saw an interview that he done with Radio Raheem a little bit earlier on today, where he basically said like there's no way anyone is gonna outcondition me in the ring. So the plan is always kind of to try break him down. I know that he might be a bit lively early, but towards the second half, like I'll get him. And it was weird. I'm not sure from what round it was where like Dan's gas tank sort of just all of a sudden just went
Kaput.
from zero, went from 100 to zero in it was in the space of like a few seconds. And everything from like rounds one to six was nigh on perfect. And then I think round sort of seven, when Craig came back into the fight, sort of in the seventh, after obviously staying with him and being competitive, it's almost like just there was something to Dan's energy, just whereby it just started to wilt. And yes, he did fight in Africa. He fought in Nigeria a few months ago, but maybe number one, maybe the climates are slightly different, maybe altitudes are slightly different, but also he wasn't fighting an opponent then that can fight at a pace, or that can up a pace if need be, or that he necessarily would have been that worried about. So maybe even though he fought in the sort of fought within those elements, it wasn't adequate preparation for someone like a Craig Richards. I enjoyed to actually no, I'm gonna lie, I didn't enjoy the fight because I'm looking at it from the perspective of two people that I know very well. But in terms of what they were doing in the fight, I thought that was very good. I thought Dan was excellent. Like I said, first half of the fight, I thought he was bossing. I'm like, is Craig about to do another Hutchinson here? Is he just not switched on? But then he doubled up and got into it. If there's one, I don't know if I call it a critique, but one thing with Craig that he happens to telegraph a lot of the, especially his hooking shots. Like he does this big wind
Oh,
up, and you can see that the shot's about to come. Now, to his credit, a lot of his opponents don't seem to be able to get out of the way or be able to brace for it. But it's like I don't know if the wind up is something that is going to he's going to be able to execute the same way at the world level. Obviously when he goes back up there, so that might be something he needs to tighten up on, or just try to maybe just take some of the tail off of the shots. But in the levels that we're at, I definitely feel like he's still one of the top domestically, possibly within Europe. Now that being said, I was actually thinking about this earlier on. Before we move on to the next thing, if we look, obviously, Craig's just beat them.
Mm.
Former European, British Commonwealth. Obviously, Bawatsi has also won the European before Commonwealth. No, he did a. Did he win it in the
No, Dan vacated it.
Oh, they vacated on that fight, innit? Yeah, he never actually won that one. You're right. Um, what I would say, because I know that Craig is very much he wants to go to world. He wants to get a world title, and I agree that obviously that's the goal. But I feel like he needs to just start obtaining accolades at this point, just in case. If you don't get there, like
Fair
Dan,
play.
even though he's beat Dan, Dan still got better accolades over him from a belt collection standpoint. So I feel as if Craig might need to go and just swoop up the European, and then look from the European up to the world level, unless obviously the opportunity presents itself against someone that he knows, 100% I've got this. But just to say
Mm.
that you've got it, because ultimately it's like collecting the rings, isn't it? The Infinity Stones, you can collect a bunch of them, and then you just got them there. No one can take it away from you. Then at least you're guaranteed to say that
Hmm.
I am this level or I am that level. Like we
Yeah,
believe that Craig is a world level fighter as such, but because he hasn't had any of the world level wins, it's hard to necessarily say that that's your lane. Whereas if you get something that can prove that you're either up there or in and amongst it, i.e., a European, the EBU title or something along those lines, or then the WBO and WBA, WBC, etc. I feel like that should be his next thing. Unless, like I said, an opportunity just presents itself to go for the world title. Don't know how you feel about that. Let me know.
yeah. Well, do you know what it is? Craig has tried to get these European title shots from when Dominic Boesel had it. He didn't want to know. I know now that Lyndon Arthur's got it. Lyndon
Vacated.
Arthur, I'm going to have to just say it, he's turned down Craig over the years in total. He's turned him down several times. So how are we going to get that shot? I don't know.
He's
Craig in his last,
vacated the EBU, hasn't he?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So even trying to get a shot against Lyndon, who keeps turning it down and doing other things, good fighter, but I don't know what it is. Him or Pat, they don't seem to fancy getting in there with Craig. Craig's last two fights now, he's knocked out the former IBO light heavyweight champion in Padre McCrory, and he's now just knocked out the former um, British Commonwealth and European light heavyweight champion. I remember even when Craig fought Jake Ball, there was meant to be a um, Commonwealth Championship on the line, and Jake Ball. There was something yeah, that's it. He said because that way it had to be 12 rounds if it was Commonwealth on the line. And Jake Ball said no. Him and Dominic Ingle said no, we're not doing that. We want it to be 10 rounds, and that's why the Commonwealth was not on the line. Otherwise, Craig would have won that as his first major belt, even before the British, when he knocked out Shakan Peters for the British. Remember, and what another thing I want to say is that people have to start realizing Craig has serious proven power. When you're looking at the level of people he's actually knocking out, remember he's the only person to take out Shakan Peters prior and to this day. When Shakan Peters has lost to Brad Ray, Dan Azeez, etc., he's still the only man to take him out, the only man to knock out Dan. Dan's been in there with Joshua Boatsi, other fighters and stuff like that. He's There's other people who get rated as big power punchers, but they're not taking guys out. They're fighting a lot of guys who are on TBA up until fight week. They're not really hurting guys like that. So Craig, I feel, has more proven power than some people are getting applauded as big power punchers in the division, in my opinion.
It is. I
But I
won't argue with
agree with
that.
you about I would like to see him get a shot at the European or IBO if it's available. But if these guys don't want to fight, then we have to push on and go down the other route, which is the I for Connor Wallace, or Bivol if he decides to keep it. But I don't think he will for some reason.
Fair enough. No, no, makes sense. Makes sense. But no, look, big congratulations to Craig. I did message him the other day. I haven't had a chance to message Dan yet. But yeah, hope both guys are gonna enjoy their Christmas, and like you said, everyone's gonna link up in the new year. That's good. The one thing I will say though, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the referee shouldn't have waved it off. I have no issue with that as such. But it did look as if Dan was trying to get up, and the referee held him down. Now I know that sometimes they say no, no, leave it. It's okay, like kind of rest. But I would have liked to have possibly, if he, because he looked like he was gonna get up, at least give him the opportunity just to look at the eyes then, like when he's on his feet, and then wave it off maybe. Just if that's rather than holding him down, because that's the same thing that they did to Danny Jacobs in the what was it the
Dimitri Pirog.
yeah, Dimitri Pirog fight where he was trying to get up and the referee just held him down. And he's like, I'm okay, like let me.
No, this one was a bit. His eyes was in the back of his head because
I'm not saying what again. I didn't see that, but I'm just saying it looks like he's obviously he's out, but then he's trying to. Then he wakes up and he's like, okay, because I've seen fighters do that before as well, where they're just out cold, but then they manage to spring up.
yeah.
So I'm not
But
saying he would have carried on. I'm not saying he should have carried on, but the fact that he was then trying to get up, I didn't feel like the ref needed to necessarily hold him down. Like just see what's happening first, unless
yeah,
he's rolling all over the place.
yeah, no, he was starstruck, and then it's when the ref waved it off. Then he tried to get up, but even Chisora said it reminded him of when he got knocked out by Dillian White with the same Jamaican left hook. And then he said that his mind was telling him get up, but his legs was saying, "No, you ain't going nowhere, buddy. It's over, buddy."
But you see, but even that, Derek was allowed. He was given that moment to try. Where you know what I mean? I'm saying Dan was literally being held down with one hand. That's my
Yeah.
point. But cool, right? Well, look, since we're in, is there any other fights on that card anyone wants to talk about quickly?
No.
Okay,
No,
cool.
no.
Big ups, obviously, big ups to Leo Atang, Nishan Dev, the new crops. Freezy and Tete was an interesting fight, very fun. But since we're in Africa, let's stay in Africa.
Oh,
Let's go
sorry. Let
from
me just before.
no.
Big up to Leo Atang. Really nice kid. 18-year-old. Like sometimes I was forgetting he's 18, and then sometimes you realize when you're actually talking to him, he is actually a kid. Like then I remember how old I am because I'm talking to him and then I'm realizing, hold on, my son's older than him. My son's 2 years older than him, and my daughter's 2 years older. I'm thinking, rah, I'm proper old, but good guy. Good guy. Like when we walked out, the reception in Africa, in Ghana, was just like amazing. There was, the drums, the dancers. It was a real hero's welcome into the country for like Craig Leo Atang. He was dancing and all that, and he was really getting into the spirit. He said that he goes, oh, um, he told his barber he's never been trimmed by anyone, but he said he told his barber, sorry, I'm gonna have to cheat on you because I have to get an African trim. And then I said, and then also I found out he's not Nigerian, he's Cameroonian.
I
Because I
thought
said
he was Nigerian.
no, because I said to him, oh, so you Nigerian? And he goes, no, I'm Cameroonian. I said, oh, so yeah.
He said he
New
was
things then?
Nigerian. I always knew he was Cameroonian.
Oh, maybe I'm tripping then. I don't know.
Yeah. So he's Cameroon, and then yeah, it was just, and then the police escorts, they were driving into ongoing traffic and they're kicking cars out of the way. It was like coming to America sometimes
You
out
felt
there,
like
bro.
royalty, eh?
I
You
did.
want to go back?
I definitely do.
Okay, I hear it. No, I hear it. I hear it. And of all the places within the African continent, I guess Ghana is one of the places that I would visit. But some of the other places that are on the list.
Yeah, but
Um,
I do recommend people to go there. I do recommend it. It's an eye opener. It's not what you think. What they put on BBC. Put it
fair
there.
dues. But no, but now we are obviously, like I said, we are in Africa. Let's stay in Africa. Let's move over to Nigeria. And let's talk about now. I've still not been able to see any of the undercard, but I heard that the three undercard fights on that event were very, very good. So I will actually watch them maybe later on today. But that's not what we are here to talk about with the time that we have. So October, let's talk about your favorite heavyweights. Um, yeah, go for it. You've got Tony Yoka and you've got Lawrence
Oh,
Okoli,
Tony Yoka went in with the geezer that
Patrick Corte.
Adelaide was supposed to fight in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it
the
was
40-year-old guy,
Corte.
Corte, is
Patrick
it?
Corte.
Okay. Yeah, he went in there. I think it was it a round one knockout because I was half asleep when I was watching
Yeah,
that. To be fair, nothing nothing he did kept me awake, and it was obviously over very quickly. But it, I don't know, he's got to fight a bit of ring rust off. I've never been sold on Tony Yoka anyway, but congratulations, he got the win. If you want to go into detail on the round one knockout, that's up to you. But now I was only there to watch Lawrence Okoli. But
of
yeah,
course you are. Yes,
versus Ebenezer versus Ebenezer Tete. Now a poor opponent anyway. I've already said that it was a poor opponent, but it seemed like he was struggling to get opponents. I don't know what the financial side is. Obviously, they've got to think about paying opponents, and we can come on to that when we speak about Boxer, because it's all right having the money to pay the A side fighters, but then there's potentially going to be a consequence for who they're fighting due to obviously financial reasons. So they wheeled out, and I think that is the correct word, they reeled out Ebenezer for one last hurrah. Lawrence got him, I think, in round number one, and then finished him off. I think it was round number three,
No,
if I
he
remember.
came out. He stayed on his stall at the end of the
That's
second.
it.
He didn't come
That's
out.
it. Yeah. So we didn't even get to three. So yeah, pointless in my opinion. But he got the fight out of the way. The only thing I don't like what I'm seeing with Lawrence Okoli is, and it's quite ironic that you can't see the thumbnail, but he's actually stood next to the KFC logo in the AJ fight, which I'm sure we're going to get onto. I just want Lawrence to. I'm not saying he has to look like an Adonis because not everyone's built like that, and not everyone needs to be built like that. But I want to see him in better shape. I don't think he's in good boxing shape, and I have said this to Lawrence, so he knows what I think. So I did poor opponent. He did what he needed to do, and he just needs to get into shape, especially as he's so highly ranked in the governing bodies. And I know he said he's up for taking on Moses Atauma now, which, what, fair play to him, good, because everyone else seems to be running away. So fair play to him, except Dillian, obviously. So we'll see what happens, but he's really got to get some S&C on board. Just get some S&C on board.
Right. Okay. You know what? I was gonna let you go there, Danny, but I might as well have my say in this. You know how I'm gonna get down. Look, I first of all look the it was Balmoral Group and Amir Khan Promotions. Now Amir Khan, obviously, if he's gonna have this promotional thing and he's doing it out in the Africa's, Nigeria and stuff, that's well and good. But he's then gonna have to figure out this opponent situation. It
Yep.
can't have just been, oh well, they wanted to put him in there against an African opponent. Like the fact that he didn't have an opponent until like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the fight is problematic in itself. But if we even look at the fight now, yes, Lawrence did well in terms of like, oh he no, he didn't do well. He did what he needed to do. Like he
Yeah.
managed to get some big shots. However, it's weird to me that the only person that ended up on the floor in that fight was Okoli. Like, of for all the big shots that he managed to land on Tete, it was only Lawrence that hit the ground, and he hit the ground when he was tried to get in the clinch, and then actually got caught in the clinch, and then Tete pulled he pulled out of the exchange, and then Lawrence sort of fell into him, and then Tete kind of, it's almost like he did the little shove off, and Lawrence ends up on the floor, and that only happened because he's so top heavy. The legs can't support the weight that's on the
The
top
way.
half of his frame. And I said on my video, and I'm gonna say it here, and whoever, if Henry's watching, like obviously I know me and you ain't friends anyway, but I say this in no disrespect, but Lawrence should have 3 losses on his record. He's got one to CBS, he should have one to the fridge, and he should have one to the scales. Because he's losing that battle, and he's losing it badly. And I don't even say that to try and be funny. Like you can't have gone from 200 pounds like as a
Mm,
cruiserweight, and now you're 270,
mm,
and
Plus,
270 plus 271 you've come in, and even in the ring, yeah, he might be able to, quote unquote, still be able to go rounds in the ring, but it's like you can't go rounds at any specific pace. You're then, it looked like you was tired against Tete. The holding came back, which is something that people said wouldn't be a situation, like because now that he doesn't have to worry about the chin and everything like that. It's like, why? why are you in that condition? You
Why?
can't attribute it to you can't attribute it to, oh, well, I had the sort of a bicep injury, I'll coming off an injury or whatever. No, the injury was to your arms. Your legs still work. Go for a run.
And your mouth.
I mean, that's your business, but like,
You
Well,
know what I mean?
I I'm just saying, like, ultimately, like, go for a run. If you know that you're impaired to the point where you can't work out the way you need to work out, then you need to be on a calorie deficit, or you need to
And yeah,
manage what you're doing. You know what it feels like to me, and I'm gonna be. It feels like he's actually like a semi-retired boxer at this point in time. Because Danny, do you remember when you was an amateur, right?
yes,
In school, and before you sort of packed it in, you kind of had to watch what you ate, and then you just relax, and you go in, you do your training, you go for your fights. As
yeah,
soon the moment you say, all right, you know what, I'm not doing the boxing anymore, everything that you restricted yourself from, now you started, obviously, then you know, you like a Guinness punch and all that stuff, and now the weight just kind of piles on, but you're
yeah.
not an active fighter. Like, so
Mm.
you can do that, but for someone who claims to be an active fighter and is still has no control, is shocking. How was you? I'm now actually, to a certain point, I'm even a bit more. Um, I give him a bit more ratings for the fact that he was able to sort of stay at cruiserweight, because clearly there's been a discipline issue there for at some point. Like, we all know he was a fat kid. Like, he's made that known. So the fact that he was able to get to some kind of discipline level to be able to stay at cruiserweight for the 6 or 7 years that he was there has to be applauded. To be fair, but it's almost like that the part of his brain that he switched off when when he started getting in shape because he wanted to lose the weight. Now it's like it's just re-engaged, and it's concerning. It's very concerning. Um, like, yes, you might be able to go for 12 rounds in a fight, but you can't do it at any meaningful pace. You can't do
mm,
it at any meaningful, like, consistency in terms of output or aggression. Everything is almost going to be like you're going to have to hang back and hope for you get one or two decent shots around, if that's the kind of level that you're coming in at. It's just, it's really bad. And even when he's like, oh, well, he can say that I'm calling out the big dogs or whatever, and no one wants to fight me. And fair enough, maybe you are calling them out, but there's a difference. There's a difference between calling people out because you want that smoke, and calling people out because you have no other options than that. Like,
you think
he's
that's what
obviously
it
had
is?
to. What?
You think that's what it is? He's
It
not
is
got any.
that. That is what it is. He's got no market ability. Like, he's got no pulling power. Like, his reputation was so affected, obviously, by the hugging and stuff at cruiserweight, and people saying that he's a he's not a good he's not a good watch, so to speak. So when he had his belt, the belt was the market ability, right? You don't have a belt now, and then you didn't want to keep the Bridgerweight one because obviously it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of
No.
things. But now you're here. It's like, well, if you don't call these people out, like, you're not going to get any fights at all. Or
Mm,
you can call the people out, but then they still probably won't fight you because you don't really bring anything to the table for them in terms of a paycheck. Like, you don't have a lot of like, there's no huge fan base there, so it's not like, oh, people are going to volunteer to fight you because you're their fan, your fans are now going to become theirs. You haven't got that. You don't have a style that is appealing, and you will probably be difficult to fight. So you put all of that stuff together, and the fact that you don't draw, you all you can do is call these people out, probably knowing that more time than not you're not going to get those fights. So I don't give him the credit for that part,
you're saying
because
he's double bluffing.
it is what it is. It's like, it's one of them ones. Um, but yeah, look, he dealt with the Tete thing. Hopefully,
Doesn't mean
he
anything.
can get he can get a meaningful fight next, and then we can actually evaluate him properly at heavyweight. Because if we're being honest, he's had three and a half easy touches since he's got to heavyweight. The Rosansky fight was an easy touch. Let's be real. Then there was the Hussein Mohammed guy. I think
Yeah.
that was his name. Kevin Lorena, fair enough, decent, but we know very undersized, former cruiserweight as well. So you kind of know what you're getting into there. And now Ebenezer Tete, who is pretty much just the UK punching bag at this point. It's it's just, yeah, it's substandard, and I just need him to do better. But more than anything, if you want to stay in the game, if you want to actually be the guy that you probably could be, suspicious, like, you need to get the weight under control. But I'm gonna put my stall out from now. He's not winning a world title at heavyweight. There's no chance. Even if he gets the weight under control now, I don't see it unless he gets there's a vacant and he's put in there against like the 15th ranked guy or something like that. There is no more world titles in his future. So that's sort of the way that I'm setting my stall out. Danny, I've rambled. Go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, the Nigerian card, yeah, it looked a lot different to the Ghanaian card, in my opinion. Even like the production, I know the fights didn't have. I don't know about the budget, but I know there was some isms and schisms in the background regarding money with a lot of the show. Not a good opponent. We've seen Tete a couple of times already. The man's definitely got to be 50 plus. Um,
It's
and
37.
oh, please, he's 2 years younger than me. Let's come on. Let's not. Um, and then yeah, the fight itself now, Lawrence Okoli, he does remind me of a semi-retired boxer. I was actually thinking that as well because it seems maybe because he's got his restaurant now, he's living out in Dubai, he's doing well for himself. He's obviously ginnels in the thing because I remember when he was doing an interview with you and he went upstairs in his gold lift and he decided to order what these Mampi women do and order a chicken salad and then sat at the table and ate his chicken salad. Well, I know once he come off that thing, he then ordered, the whole garden and the whole rest of it. Do you know what I'm saying? He went in because you can't be 271 and you was 200 pounds. Like, but it just goes to show you when you're saying base, you rate him. What you can rate it, but it just shows you he has to be put under restriction
Yes.
be able to function properly. Where the 200-pound limit is, he had a restriction, so he had to then at least curb the eating cravings after a certain while. Because I imagine out of camp, you could see him out of camp. He looked like a heavyweight anyway. But then when
Hmm.
he had to curb it down and trim it down to 200 and do his thing. Then when he went to Bridgerweight, once again there was still a cap. So he still had a limit. Yeah, he can eat a bit more. He's having fun now, but still, he's still got to curb it because as a teen, he was what 330 pounds. So
Hmm.
that's a 130-pound loss. Then he went to what 220. So still 110 from what off of that. And then from there, he said he didn't want to do the what's that super cruise or where it was, which was I think a few pounds, probably about four
It was
pounds.
224. It was like a pound difference, I think.
Yeah, something like that, about £4 or so, something like that, for a few pounds or whatever. He thought, nah, we're not even doing that no more. Now I'm just doing unrestricted, no holds barred, and then he's just going at it, and he's just now picking out and thinks that he can rely just solely on what he perceives as talent. But as we know, when talent doesn't work hard, you're going to become a cropper. But he seems very comfortable in life, um, and I don't see him going to the heights that he feels that he wants to get to in his mind. He might want it, but he doesn't need it. I think he's got silk pajama syndrome. He's not going to get in there with the likes of Fabio Wardley, who is disciplined and hungry.
Yeah.
Someone like that will take him out because even during the fight, you can see he's landing shots on Tete. Tete's stumbling around on his old knees, but he still can't put him over. Then when Tete's decided to lay on the ropes and just say, "All right, just knock me out, please," Lawrence has still gone up to him, hit him, and then hugged him and then hit him a few times whilst hugging him. I'm thinking, why have you held him when there was nothing to hold? You've held a man where you didn't need to clinch. This just shows you're now puffing after round two. You're puffing like a
Tired.
Korean smoker. So
Mm.
this is very concerning now. Even when you thought Lorena was a 10 rounder, so I don't think you can. You are not in condition to do 12 rounds. And as Bay said, you're not in condition to do 12 rounds at a pace with a real heavyweight because you did 10 rounds and you got caught and wobbled in that 10th round by a cruiserweight. So now, and as another thing, I don't know. He kind of half ginnels in because he pulled out against Richard Riakport. Then you're calling out names. You're calling out Dillian White, who we know is not the man who he once was. So you're kind of half cherry picking. And then you're calling out names like Caballero and Moses Atoma when I don't think really and truly you really want to fight these guys deep down, because you've made it clear you didn't really want to fight Moses because of what he did to you when he came into the gym in his school
School.
blazer and his school and his wallaby shoes. So you're not going to want to get in there now with him as an adult, and then I don't think you're going to want to get in there with Caballero, who's going to really work that body and make
He's got
probably
horrific work, really good work rate as well, Caballero.
but he's going to make him spew up all that stuff, all that Eba and Egusi and Ogbono and Fufu. He's going to make him spew that all up. So you ain't going to really want to get in there with someone like Caballero. So I think he's just trying to fiddle his way around, because he even said, "Oh, he wants to do another fight in Africa." And all that type. So
Oh, I missed all of that then.
yeah, he's on some kind of spin to me. He's not. I don't think he's really trying to fight. So, and the thing is, October. I know you were saying about Richard's last opponent, you weren't happy with it, but this was worse. Come on,
Yeah, yeah, but I've said that. I've
yeah,
said the same thing. It was
this
a
was,
pointless fight. He's learned nothing from it, and he's coming out of shape. I've said that. There's not anything that I haven't said here that I haven't said to Lawrence, because it's my opinion. If I think your opponent isn't good enough to be in the ring, how can you be WBC number 1 and you're fighting Ebenezer Tete?
it's a joke.
So
Um,
I don't even know how it was how it was even sanctioned.
and he was what 260 his first time, and he said, "Yeah, I know I've got to lose the belly and lose the whatever and
Yeah, he
get
said that.
down." But then he's just going higher and higher now.
Yeah, but
So it's
yeah, I
like,
think he went down and then went back up.
no, he
No,
didn't
he
go
stayed.
down.
He went up
Oh, he
consistently.
still went up after the. He was
Yeah,
high at the Reina fight as well.
yeah.
Yeah, he ain't gone down. He's going up only. So really, to me, he should be fighting about 230, because you can see his legs are not big
Like
enough.
I
But
said,
even his arms, he's got like them kind of dowsium arms. So it's all going around the midriff, around the base. Pardon the pun, but it's all going around the midriff section. So it's not even distributed right. So I know you're saying about he needs a good S&C coach, but I
yeah,
think
he
he needs a
does.
no, he don't. He needs a nutritionist.
Yes, as well as I think they work hand in hand. Every time I think about S&C, I also think about the nutrition side. Nutrition is the issue, and the fact that who is actually training him, where is he spending his camps, and what is his discipline like when he's out of camp, because he doesn't live in the UK as well. So he's still got to follow that discipline out of UK camp when it comes to eating.
That might
But I
have
do,
been why he left the UK, because now with no one's there to supervise him, he can do what he wants.
you need,
Maybe
you
he
need
didn't like being told no, put the cake down. Now
no.
there's no one to tell him that.
Well, the thing is, if that is the case, then it's going to have dire consequences, because who else would have been watching that fight? Frank Warren. And Frank Warren has like ripped Martin Bacoli a new arsehole, talking about him fighting with his fridge and blah blah this and that. Don't think he ain't watching what his heavyweights is doing. Frank Warren is very top heavy when it comes to heavyweights. I'm sure at one point he's going to think, which one of these are worth me keeping? Which one of these are going to pay my investment back? So you have to take these things seriously if this is what you really want to do.
Remember when I think it was the Chris Bill and Smith fight, and
Mm,
I think they may have been talking about him. They said, "Oh, he apparently he was." They said he was a little bit tight to make the weights or whatever, and then
okay.
he came onto the scales, or just before coming onto the scales, he went and he had the piece of cake and he ate the cake just to say, "Oh no, I made weight easy. Like, look, I can still eat cake."
Oh no.
Now I'm thinking about that. I'm wondering, like, maybe was that just almost like that was the start, or almost the you know what I said, that was like the start of the fat kid re-emerging that day. Like I can't resist anymore. Like I've got to do this. I've even managed to get myself down just a bit further, just so I can eat this piece of cake just before we got. I need this. Like it's starting again. It feels like that's where the arc started at that weigh-in. Um, but yeah, look, okay.
Gallagher wasn't there this time, Maka.
And that's why he left. I definitely know that's why he definitely wouldn't have liked training with that Barry Robinson, who's a former military man who, as he said, was waking him up in the middle of the night. And it'd have been like that film, Fat Camp, where there was catching the deli meats and all that under the bed. Like Barry Robinson, he ain't That yeah,
Oh, okay.
Lawrence wants to be unsupervised. He don't want to be micromanaged, but he has to be
Be.
micromanaged
Have
because
to
he's a
be.
danger to himself otherwise. Like this is, I remember, we know boxing is very dangerous. We've seen some of these knockouts this year alone, but
Mhm.
you can get very badly hurt in there. You know, so he needs to sort it out and decide, does he want to box or not? Because if you don't want to box properly, then just say it.
Yeah, then go up to 330 again if you want 400. Like if you can carry it and walk around, then that's cool. But if you actually want to be an athlete, if you want to, carry on and actually do more within this sport, then you're gonna have to, yeah, something's gonna change. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll have to wait and see sort of how that plays out. Also over the weekend, we had boxers card, which unfortunately had two people fall out. Although, to be fair, even though I the only person I even knew was what was on the card was Blair Cobbs, obviously, and I was interested to kind of see that, but I didn't know any of the fights. I literally did not know who was fighting whom on any of the bouts apart from the main event. And even then, I almost forgot. Actually, no, I did forget that the fight was on. And when I actually had the opportunity to turn it on, I ended up being on. I think I turned on the fight about around 7 on the Saturday. Like that's how much or how little promotion these boxer events on BBC are getting, and I don't know where they're promoting because I'm not seeing anything for them now. Yeah, I don't necessarily watch the BBC the way I used to, but funny enough, Spider-Man: Homecoming was on the BBC the other day. I found that just randomly is, oh, it's why my homecoming is on, cool, let me go watch that. So how is it that I'm seeing just random films during the middle of the day, but I can't find out about this, about a boxing event, after you've made such a big, a big thing of
Hoo-ha.
this being the new thing, and then it's on BBC Three? Like you told us that your thing was it was iPlayer and BBC Two. So why is this one now relegated to BBC Three? And and then you do that on the same time when it just happens to be on the same day as another card from another promoter again. 2 out of 2 more than likely will end up being 3 out of 3 when the one in happens on the 31st of January. So that aside, um,
Mm.
I managed
Four
to
out of
actually watch
four,
the fight.
actually. 4 out of 4
Well,
when we done the initial
yeah, but
card.
we can't count that one because it didn't happen. I get
Oh,
what you mean, but because it didn't happen, not counting that one. But yeah, the one on the 31st, I believe there may be another card that day, but hopefully it might be, maybe not, because I know that there is the American one. So the Tiafimo and
Murtazalia
Shakur.
and Josh Kelly.
Is that on the 31st as well?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, you're right, 3 out of 3. Not to mention obviously Tio and Shakur later on that night.
Yeah.
So I want to know what's going on. Like, and someone needs to obviously ask Ben, like, why are there all these clashes? You don't have so many dates that you every you're you're having to clash every week or every event. So to me, it seems a bit strategic, but what's the strategy? Because I don't think it's working. I don't think it's actually taking away the eyes of the viewers that maybe you are hoping it would. The pay-per-view one, it probably would have, because then people have got the choice of this or spending money. But when it's the the hardcores and just the general promotional stuff, like what is going on there? So that's something that we definitely need to get understood, and someone obviously needs to get those answers, because to me it makes no sense. But the fight as a whole, I managed to watch it earlier on today. Um, it said, look, the same criticism, the same issues, the same things that I saw that I mentioned on weekend wraps and basis picks about Callum Simpson before came into fruition in this fight. I've been seeing it for like his last 3 fights, I think. Just the way that he's fighting, the way that he's going in very aggressive, and the way that he's not really setting things up, or he's trying to sort of steamroll into opponents. And I'm not surprised it happened. Although the one thing that I wasn't sure about was, will Troy Williamson. I felt like he'd be able to take shots a lot better because he'd be obviously extra 14 pounds from where he'd been campaigning. So he already had good punch resistance anyway. But I just wasn't sure if, like, do you couple the punch resistance with the much bigger guys with supposedly much bigger punch, and like what would that look like? So it initially I predicted that I thought Callum would get it, maybe like a split decision, but I did think he and look, it was en route to kind of being that way if we look at some of the cards,
Scorecard.
or the way things was panning out. But yeah, I was when I watched it, it actually looked like Callum Simpson was, I think he was concussed from the seventh round. There was I saw it back, and there was a shot that Williamson landed, and it looked like it hit him on the back of the head. It wasn't the biggest of shots, but it was clean. And from that moment in the fight, every second after that, anytime Callum, he would get hit with the straight right, or the lead hand right, like immediately, or he would just go into this little clinch and this little flurry, like we're in primary school. I know you remember them ones there, Danny. Just in on the inside, no talk, no nothing. Just whoever can land the most before the teacher breaks it up.
Win.
Yes,
That's
panicking.
literally what it looked like. Um, so I was just like, okay, this it was looking weird from there. And then yeah, obviously 10th round comes around, first knockdown, second knockdown, third knockdown, and then he was allowed to get up for a fourth. Like, maybe they thought, okay, maybe that was A side privileges, or maybe it was just a case of they saw something in the eyes, feeling that maybe he can get through the round. I don't know. Um, I'll let you guys go. October, you start, Danny, you could finish, and then we can obviously refer to whatever the other supposed controversy from that card.
Yeah, to follow on from your comment about what our box are doing, I have reached out to Ben Shalom to get obviously a conversation with him to ask him some questions about what is going on, potential clashes, how many fighters has he got left, who are they, what's going on with the BBC Two to the BBC Three to the iPlayer. But I haven't had anything back, so unfortunately that probably won't happen for now, as there's clash dates, and potentially I'll be going to the other fights that are on that night. Anyway, yeah, a really good fight. I did like the matchup, but I knew that obviously Troy was the more experienced, and he was having this sort of resurgence in his career as well. Come off a few losses, but started to get the win back in the sails. And I did think it would be a problem after he beat that young guy that was, tipped to be a great star in the fashion that he did beat him. So I always thought that this fight could potentially be a banana skin. My personal opinion is maybe Callum fell in love with the crowds, the fact that he was headlining, and maybe just took his eye off the ball a little bit. That's just my opinion. And I think that Troy was able to monopolise that because of his experience. There were some competitive rounds. There was a lot of inside fighting. Callum does want to get you on the inside so he can let go those mini grenades of his as he does. That's how he's, got people into trouble with accumulation of shots that he's done before. I've seen him do it before. There was a couple of punches to the back of the head. Callum did complain a couple of times about the punches to the back of the head. But like I said, what was concerning for me, and I don't need to explain the fight because you've already done that base, is the fact that he was, to me, should have been stopped in round number two. I watched the fight on Sunday, and that's when I tweeted about it. Why was he? He was basically out of it on his feet. That's the way I saw it. And he was allowed to continue, not a third time, but a fourth time. Really dangerous. I don't think, and Ben Shalom sort of alluded to the fact, oh, he's so much heavier, or he's a lot bigger. Like, he's made weight, but that's not his natural, comfortable fighting weight. So did he rehydrate too quickly? Is there issues there with him fighting at that weight? Therefore, is it dangerous? It's going to take him longer to recover oxygen levels. You don't need me to tell you about the science. I just thought it was very selfish for the referee, whether it was the A side bias or whatever, to let him stay in there for that long and take that punishment, because sometimes things like that can be career ending. I didn't like it at all. Commiserations to Callum, he will be back. Massive congratulations to Troy. The resurgence is real. I didn't even know that he was still signed to Matchroom until Frank Smith mentioned it. I thought he was sort of like floating in between every promoter, to be fair. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I just
What
yeah.
happened in the second round? So you said it should have been stopped in the second. What happened?
Sorry, the second time he went down.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Okay,
No,
cool.
no. The
All
second
right.
time he went down when it started to get a bit hairy in there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Danny,
Yeah.
what did you think of the fight? You're on mute.
Yeah, first off, I just want to mention something that actual big ups to Troy Williamson because he has taken this camp very, very seriously. He was the main sparring partner for Craig this camp, so they were both fighting on the same day, and they were sparring each other for this fight. So, and also as we know that he'd been down sparring Eubank Jr., sparred Conor Ben as well previously as well. So he'd taken this very seriously, and I know that going into the fight, he probably had a lot going on because I spoke to him after the Hurricane Melissa because I know his dad has a very famous bar in the Westmoreland area, and that got like wiped out completely. The family home in Jamaica got wiped out. His dad's like a Rasta man, like proper yard man, and they've lost the family home out there in the business. So that would have probably been fueling him as well going into the fight. Um, he was a massive underdog, as we know. He's People would say they thought his best days was when he was down at light middleweight, beating the likes of Ted Cheeseman, um, and Mason Cartwright and things like that for the British title. But he even beat Harry Scarf. So you have to remember this guy's got pedigree.
Mm.
I know he had a bad patch where he lost to Kieran Ajarko, Jahai Tucker,
Ishmael,
and
how's
yeah,
Ishmael?
Ishmael Davis. And I was at the Newcastle show when Josh Kelly beat him on points, but Josh Kelly just had probably the wrong style with the speed and the movement, etc. So, but he's actually he's a big guy. Troy Williamson, because during the camp he was when they was weighing like their pre-weights during the camp, he was weighing in more than Craig, funny enough. So it just shows you he's actually a big muscly guy himself. So Callum Simpson, I noticed in the fight, he was trying these flurries. I don't know if he'd
Was that
been, yeah, he does these flurries, but I noticed especially when he was on the inside, he was doing this thing like he was trying to do the David Benavidez thing, but it just wasn't really working. He got caught by a massive left hook, which nearly
hmm
like proper spun his jaw, which you could see was wobbling him. Anytime he did get caught heavy, he was then going into this frantic mode, like trying to fight his way out of an issue. But he was just getting broken down. Uppercuts was going in from Troy Williamson. Really, he looked like the bigger puncher of the two out of the two. If even though Callum Simpson somehow gets these stoppages, some of them have been a bit iffy here and there, but he normally somehow gets a job done. And then in that 10th round, Troy Williamson hit him with the Kovalev shot that 2-1, put him over, and then just piled it on, dropped him again, um, dropped him again and again. Really, it should have been stopped a lot earlier. I do feel it was hometown bias. I know they
dangerous?
say sometimes you give the champion every chance, but I feel he gave him more than every chance. And I think the
Well, did
reason,
you see his legs?
yeah, he was
He
he
was-
was toasted, but we'll have to get into the other controversies which have been brought up. But well done to Troy Williamson. He's shown that he's still there. 34 years old. He's took the ball by the horns, and he's still a force to be reckoned with. Now the
yeah.
British Commonwealth European super middleweight champion, and yeah, the show goes on.
So talk about the controversy, Danny.
Well, the controversy was well, we know one with the ref, but then also we saw the judge, then Victor Loughlin, as Callum Simpson's going down, is like it's motioned like, oh no, and put his head in his hands like he'd lost a side betting slip somewhere on Betfred, or I don't know, somewhere. There's other companies, by the way, but yeah, it looked like something had gone totally
You
wrong
reckon?
behind the scenes, which, yeah, because you don't, when fighters go down,
Yeah.
a judge is not meant to
Show
show
emotion.
any emotion. um you're just judging a fight. You're meant to be totally impartial, and you're definitely not supposed to be having your head in your hands, like, oh, like something's gone wrong for you outside. Like something was on the line.
So that's how it, because I saw it as just like a no, this is me, and I'm this is how I saw it, that it was like, oh my god, that's horrific. That's what I
No,
thought.
because
But you like,
it
if you
wasn't a
like
no.
saying that, a couple of people said the same thing, but I just thought he was like, flipping heck. Not
No,
oh, sits up, I failed, even though he
no,
had like up on the
yeah,
scorecards or whatever it was.
no, because it wasn't a horrific knockdowns. It weren't like like his head slamming on the canvas or something. He was just going down like Bambi. So there was no like, if it was a mad like like for instance Povetkin White one, when he's done that move
Yeah,
like out of nowhere, and it's like sometimes you might lose yourself like, oh rah. But
yeah,
it, it wasn't one of those incidences where you got to be. It wasn't what shocking. He'd been down 3 times already. It wasn't a shock. So what you're now realizing? Oh no, it's over because you had him ahead by miles.
yeah, he
Like
did.
it's all.
That's what makes it look bad. Like if you look at the reaction on its own, but coupled with the crazy cards, that doesn't
Hmm.
help at all.
Well, so I've got two. I've seen two perspectives. Obviously, I've seen the fight disciples thing. As much as I don't like to speak about them, but I saw their reaction to it, and obviously the footage that they showed. Um, I've also seen the Talk Sport, the Talk Boxing show. They've given their take on it,
I ain't seen it.
and so basically, obviously, Fight Disciple are like he needs to be questioned. That needs investigating because why are you showing that reaction to someone getting knocked down? On the Talks Boxing, they gave another perspective, saying that he is a judge, but he's also first and foremost the referee, and they believed he more could have just been looking at it as from a perspective of if I was in this fight, I would have stopped this fight two knockdowns ago, or the same thing that you said, Red, or like he's looking at it like why is this fight still carrying on? So
Mhm.
then when he hits the deck again, it's like oh god,
Yeah, yeah,
thing that
yeah,
stopped the fight.
yeah.
That's how they have said they believe it could be, but they've also then conceded as you just said it doesn't look great when your scorecard was off,
Yes.
according to most people. Because
Yeah.
it's not like oh you had him by one round or maybe 2 points or something like that. Apparently you had him like 4 points up or 5 points up.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
apparently gave him every single round for the first
Yeah.
seven,
Yeah.
which even if you wanted to be the most like biased person, I don't know how you find all 7 rounds for Callum Simpson. Even if he is the hometown, you're like, oh, okay, maybe if it's a close one, give it to. Like there were rounds that clearly Williamson won in those first seven, and it's not like up for debate. Like he won those rounds, and there's no controversy to it. So that in itself, coupled with the action, is where the suspicion comes. And I agree that he should have to it should be investigated. There
Mhm.
should be an answer, but we know that the investigation is going to be menial. Like most jobs, when they investigate an
In
employee
house.
that they like and it's in house, you kind of will find okay, so why did you do this? Well, this, that, and that. Oh, okay, that seems plausible. Okay, cool. Well, we're happy with that. If anything, maybe we'll leave you out for one weekend, and then we'll bring you back after that. But it's fine. That's normally when you do things in house and you don't have an external body doing investigations. That's what normally happens. Most people in a workplace setting that have had some kind of grievance or whatever, usually if it's done in house, that's
It's
normally what happens.
curtains.
You don't get the necessary remedy that you want
It's not
or that
fair
you
and
believe
it's
you
not
should you
just.
should have. It's
Yeah.
it's always about the company. So
Correct.
agreed, it should be investigated, but I can possibly give scope to the point of him looking at it from the judging perspective of why is this fight still carrying on
Mm.
possible. But once we get, I mean, I'm pretty sure that maybe someone like a Simon Jordan might get on the phone to Robert Smith, hopefully, to ask about this, or someone gets in front of Ben Shalom and asks him about this. Um, yeah, then at least then we can hear, and sometimes you'll be able to tell just by the way that they answer that you know what's going on in that sense. What I guess okay, Red. I know you kind of was talking back and forth with Danny, so are we cool to move on from that bit?
Yes, please.
All right. So From there, we had the biggest event of the weekend. I guess the most significant from a monetary standpoint, from a global standpoint, and I guess from a profile building standpoint as well, which ended up being Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua taking place in Miami on Friday night. Um, Very, sort of undercard stacked with a load, well, the prelims primarily stacked with a load of female bouts. Some, obviously, some of the other sort of the other fighters as well. They had sort of their Olympian, Jamal Harvey, on the starting kicking off the show. You had Anderson Silva and Tyrone Woodley. Now, Red, it was on Netflix, and I know that you went to sleep and you woke up. I saw that you didn't do a regular stream that you normally do. You just went straight live on YouTube. I saw the difference in your metrics based on that. But did you go back and watch any of it afterwards?
I actually stayed up and I did watch the Caroline Dubois
Okay.
fight because I was interested in that. And I did watch the Alicia Baumgardner like live. However, you know what I'm like at night. So the one that I probably paid the most attention to was the headline because I had to be awake to talk about it. I didn't really pay that much attention to the other fights, and unfortunately, I haven't revisited them either.
Okay, so all right, so let's talk about the main event, and then maybe we'll just talk about or gloss over some of the others. I'll go with you first, Red. What was your opinions on the, I guess, the bout and the, I guess, the event as a whole? Even though you didn't necessarily watch all of it, but like production wise and stuff, these are things that I know that you normally like to look at. How did you view it?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and one thing I will stay from the beginning. There's a female like presenter, but she's got blonde hair. Is it Skull?
Kate Scott. Oh, Sibley Skulls.
Fantastic. That is what I'm talking about. The energy that she brought to that with the ringside, like talking to people at ringside, how she was during the week, speaking to the fighters. She is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Brought the right energy for the show. Absolutely loved her role in it. Then obviously they go on to the commentators. There's David Hay. Who else was a commentator? Oh, lovely Christina Poncha knows what she's talking about as well. And then there
And
was another gentleman.
unfortunately, they had Mauro Ranello as
I
well.
don't
Less
know
said about
him.
him the better. He does all
Something
the
to do with
PBC
MMA.
shows.
Oh, all
Like
right,
he
okay.
used to do all the PBC, and he had a short stint in WWE as well.
All right, okay, okay. But they had, they had the commentary team there, and then we had the presenting team, which was obviously Kate Scott. You've got Layla Ali, you've got Andre Ward, Lennox Lewis. Just perfection. So I have absolutely no complaints. Even that other chap that I don't know who he is, I haven't got any complaints to how it went. It was amazing. The production, the lighting, everything about it made you want to like stay up and watch it. Base. I don't stay up really to watch those fights. So yeah, brilliant. We get to the main event. The only thing, like I said, and I'll let you guys, you can go round by round. I thought AJ was potentially a little bit tentative to start off with. Didn't really seem like he wanted to engage as much. His shots were more longer and rangier than potentially on the inside. Jake Paul just on the back foot, no ring generalship whatsoever, because when he was skating around the ring, he was actually holding the rope as a guide. Because if you've got that ring generalship, you can move around the ring with your eyes closed. It's almost like you can sense the rope behind you. No, I've not had a professional fight, but I've been in a ring a few times to know I can feel that ring approaching me. I'm not running around and using it as a guide bar to trip over my own feet. Um, AJ went to round six, which is not what I expected and definitely not what I wanted. I got deflated by the time we got to round five because I was like, he's going to do it and he's going to do it in four. Anything after four, I'm going to have a little bit of a whinge about. But he got him out of there, devastating fashion. We've all seen the pictures of Jaws and the memes with AJ smiling, some of them slightly exaggerated, as he, he does it for us. And obviously the rest is history. Fair play to Jake Paul. Because what I will say, MVP coupled with Netflix has literally given AJ a rebirth in America. I cannot open my phone without seeing either the love that he's getting from the women or the cheeky posts that he's getting from the men, the memes that have been made out of him in a positive way. The American female audience is all over him like a rash. It has done wonders. This is not the first time he's boxed in the US. We have to give the production, the lead up, the fight itself, the kudos because of what it's helped generate with like his popularity. I'm sure his worth has gone up again. So I enjoyed it for what it was, even though I moaned about it and says, "Why is this happening?" Everyone made their money last week, and it's done wonders for his profile. And I've tagged Eddie, and I said, "Never mind Ben Whitaker in America in March. Take AJ with you as well." And put them both back out there in March, get him back out to the US because it seems like he's more appreciated over there than he is here.
That's funny because they hated him before. Well, the boxing community. But
He's gone
okay,
past that. This
yeah.
week, this
I
past
mean,
the
but
he's
America
broke.
is a very insular place. Like, if
Yeah,
whatever you do, if it doesn't happen there, it's almost like it doesn't count. They're a bit like PBC, in it,
but
Danny.
it's worked.
Oh, babe.
He's broke the barriers. He's broke the barriers. He's
No,
gone
no,
commercial.
agreed, agreed. Danny, so I know that you maybe actually because you weren't training necessarily with Craig, like you may have been able to be up and watch a lot more of the card and stuff. What was your sort of take on the event, the card, the fight, and any of the? And then maybe we'll talk about undercard stuff afterwards.
No, I watched it on the Saturday morning because I didn't stay up because every morning I had to be up with Craig if he's doing any things in the morning, the gyms and stuff
Right.
like that. Obviously, I'm if he when he's going gym in the morning, I'd go gym. Obviously, I'm doing a totally different workout, but yeah,
Thought that counts, Danny.
yeah, taking part. But yeah, in the what when I watched it now, to me, so he's come out. Jake Paul, I will give him that his footwork did look really good. He had good foot movement in the first round. But what I did notice is that to me, because I said that if this ain't over in the first round, there's some fix going on. And to me, AJ in that first, well, not necessarily the first, because Jake was moving around so much, he probably couldn't catch him. But that second, third, fourth, AJ was pulling his punches. It's like he was purposely missing him. To
You
me,
reckon?
he wasn't extending. He was purposely missing him. When you're watching these shots, I'm like, hold on, how are you missing this brother?
See,
And
I
he's
thought
right
he
there
was
to get
loaded
caught.
up.
No, he was purposely missing him in that second, third, and fourth rounds. He was purposely missing him.
Going easy on him.
Yeah, I was like, well, hold on, you're missing shots. I know you could catch him with, because then when he finally decided to hit him, in the fifth, he just caught him so easily. So it's like, and I know it don't take you that long to find your range on an absolute novice, AJ. So you carried it. You played a little role. You was wearing your chain throughout the build up, which you don't normally do, but it's part of MVP Netflix. You got to give him a little something. You got to give him a little good running time. They're paying you a good bag. You got to make the running time, last a bit. Come on, play your role now. It is Netflix and chill. So then he's dropped him a couple times. Then when he's decided to, all of a sudden, when he wanted to hit him with a signature right hand, he's actually smiled because he knows this is so easy. I've actually smiled. Here it comes. Boom. Jawbreaker. And we ain't talking about the screwball machine where you put in and it comes out. And that was it. That was it. But he could have done that. He could have done that in the second round to me. The first round, even though I said if it ain't first round, it's fake. I will say that the way Jake was moving that first round, he got out of the first round legit. But from the second round, AJ could have took him out in that second round, in my opinion. And he let him, and he
He
was
let
missing
him.
punches on purpose. Yeah, he's missing punches on purpose, AJ. And when he felt like it, he wiped him out. But AJ, big ups. You got your rejuvenated love out in America. I see you with
Good for him.
Alicia Baumgardner. She was giving the eyes like she was ready. She was choosing. I seen him by the poolside the next day, looking quite smitten. People
The
saying they
AI.
look. No, it was real deal. They look saying they look like a good couple, etc.
Yeah, but
Uh,
she picked against him, so she picked Jake. to win the
She's
fight.
Yeah, she's got to say that.
No, but the thing is,
okay.
she doesn't because there was other MVP fighters that picked
Caroline
AJ.
Dubois.
Caroline Dubois said AJ's gonna win this, like, and that's one of your stay. If all of the MVP people said Jake, they said okay, cool, they're just staying on code. But the fact that some of them didn't tells me that you should have had sense to know that that's not gonna happen, Alicia. If you know boxing like you're supposed to know boxing, you shouldn't even say that with a straight face.
She's got to be playing surely, but who knows? But she who knows what she said if there
I'm
was any.
sure. I'm sure he told her off about it, and they made up.
Yes, yes, I'm sure she got reprimanded, but either
Who's the
way.
winner?
But yeah, hey, AJ's got a newfound celebrity market, even though
Yeah, man.
he probably didn't even need any more. But I see some men hating, as they
Who?
do, the American guys, because they it's like brand new. Like,
Really?
who's this dude? Like, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, women are going ballistic over there, so they're thinking.
Yeah.
Remember, UK season for men, like you got this Damson Idris, you got Idris Elba,
Oh,
there's
I've
too
seen.
many
That's what I mean. It's
man.
beautiful to see.
The UK black market is just, yeah, it's domination over there right now. So
I love to see
man
it
over
though.
there, they're feeling it. But either way, AJ, you did what you needed to do. You got your 70
It
mil,
works.
etc. And yeah, you're doing your thing. Um, yeah,
I mean, all right, so I disagree with when you say that he could have done it in the second. I mean, look, first off, I feel like I'm vindicated anyway because I predicted the sixth round and he did it in the sixth, and I said anywhere between 5 to 7. Um, and that's documented, so it's not like I'm just waffling for the sake of waffling.
You
I have
did. You said it on our thing
receipts.
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
Base Stradamus.
I know, but the thing with it, right now, I agree with you in the sense that there were times when he could have thrown a shot and he chose not to, but I don't think that he was purposefully pulling punches
Mm.
early on. I think ultimately the first round, like Jake he's on that back foot. 22-foot ring, like Joshua being 6'6", 245 pounds, like with someone that much smaller, being able to sort of dip underneath and like running about, you're like, okay, I'm gonna try and catch you. He was close. He was cutting off the ring at times, but
No,
I,
time.
I think that he was looking at it from a perspective of I need to make sure that I can actually get the range I want. And I think the issue is he only started. I think in the first round he started realizing, all right, forget trying to jab to the head. Let me jab to his body where there's a bigger target that I've got more access to. But
Mm.
because there was I think a few times where he tried to throw a big shot or he wound the shot up and then it missed, and I feel like he was looking at it like, okay, I can't be missing shots like that against this guy.
For real.
So rather than me, go all out and just try to attack, let me try to set it up. I already know that he's doing this running thing, so fine. He's gonna have to slow down. Let me
Even.
just try to see if I can grab a shot here or there, just pick a shot here or there, take it bit by bit, as he said he was going to do in the promos. He wanted to sort of break him down slowly, see the soul leaving the body, and then extract it when it was time. Like, I feel like that was more his thing. Whereas some people, like for instance, I saw on that same talk boxing, I think David Adelier was on there as well, and it's weird. Ever since he did the Ade and Friends thing, like his stock in terms of his public persona has increased, and people have seen more of his actual natural personality and not just the bad boy from West London thing, which I think is working for him. But he had said, someone like me, I would have probably done it quicker because I don't care about necessarily looking good or having someone take the piss that I missed a shot. But someone like AJ, who like is an overthinker, which is something I was thinking as well, because he is this overthinker and he likes to do this methodical and this precise thing. You missing a big wild shot, like, that's memeable kind of thing. And he's like, I already get enough stick. I don't want to invite more. So rather than saying, all right, cool, let me just go for it and just just trap him and just look all the ungangly and just look wild and whatever. Let me just show them why there's levels here. And then I feel like, yeah, there was times when he allowed Jake to move, and he could have maybe threw a shot to the ribs but chose not to, because okay, you're running, so okay, now you're gonna run that way, but guess what, I know I'm gonna get to you, so I don't have to necessarily worry. If obviously Jake Paul was like of a upper European level person, or someone that had that kind of ability, where Joshua felt like there's a chance that he might be able to survive all of the 8 rounds, I reckon he maybe would have taken more chances to try and get him out of there. I do think at points, especially in the first and the second round, he was also looking at it from a perspective of, all right, I don't know what this guy's got. He's not a natural heavyweight, but yes, he has knocked out some people genuinely in his fights before. I don't necessarily just want to walk on the end of something. So while I'm not gonna overcommit, and I'm just gonna let's see how it develops. Let's see how it develops, and ultimately from round, and I had said the first 3 rounds, Jake is gonna move, he's gonna run, AJ is gonna sort of just be almost stalking without doing much, but everything kicks off from round 4, and that's pretty much kind of what happened. Um, from the fourth round is when AJ started to catch range a little bit. He caught Jake with a couple of some hooks. There was also uppercut. There was a right hand he took in the fourth as well,
Yeah.
and a triple. I think it was a triple jab where two of them landed, but there was literally nothing on them at all. But by that time, Jake was dirt tired, and I think just from there, AJ was like, "Okay, cool. So this is now where we get busy." And I know everyone wanted it to be over by now, but like
Yes.
this ultimately is where the fight has started. It didn't start in the second; it's starting in the fourth. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And then fifth round, obviously, a lot of the punches that sort of were landing in the fifth that Jake went down for, they ended up getting the knockdowns. Ultimately, they weren't anything, but because there was some kind of contact, they have to be counted. Referee,
Mm.
obviously, in the fourth, I think it was, said to them, "Look, guys, come on! Like, people didn't pay to see this crap. Like, let's actually do something." So I think from there, AJ felt it almost like, when you say to yourself, you remember when you're in school, right? And like one person is causing drama and causing trouble, but yet because you're just in the same vicinity, you get in trouble with them. So it's
Yeah.
like the teacher telling off two people, but I didn't
But
do
I ain't done
anything wrong.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So now that you made me get in trouble and possibly
I'm
get sent
pissed.
to my yard, even though I didn't do anything,
Mm.
watch now. And I feel that's kind of what happened. It went back to
Snapped
that
into it.
mentality. You're like, oh no, because I didn't do. I wasn't the one that's falling all over the place. I'm not the one that's like
Yeah, he looked as
playing the
frustrated
dirty
as
tactics
anything.
and all of that. So why? So you want me, my reputation, to get affected by this? No, no, we're not doing that. So that's when he said, okay, now especially now that you're tired as well, let's go
Let's
for it.
have it. Mm.
And yeah, it was the systematic breakdown that he had said. And even though he landed that shot, it was a punch perfect shot, but it wasn't one of his hardest shots. It was more just like one of those shots that he throws just as it was like it's a natural, it was a precision shot. It was just a naturally sort of extended, but he didn't
Mm.
put that much weight behind it. The only reason, I mean, look, apart from it being accurate, the only reason Jake's jaw got broken from the shot, yes, obviously AJ hits hard regardless, but Jake Paul's mouth was wide open.
Because
And
he was
what
knackered.
do you always say in boxing? Keep your mouth closed, breathe through your nose, because if you open your mouth, you get your jaw broke. And
Mm.
ultimately that's what happened. You see it in the when they showed the shots from behind, rather than his mouth being closed on the mouth guard, it's open like this, and then bang
Yeah,
on the
knackered.
jaw. That's what happens.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Jake necessarily wanted to necessarily suffer that kind of injury, but him being the
Been
promotional
worse.
genius he is, he's almost reclaimed the knockout as his own, because he's the one posting up all the content around it, and it's like it's not even memeable at this point because he's like
It's
controlling the
flooded
mix.
it. Correct.
So in that sense, like it's almost a perfect moment for him. And then he also gets the some of the plaudits of, okay, well, he was brave for getting in there in the first place, regardless of whether he did anything. But then he's also now he can say, well, I survived longer than several other quote unquote real boxers against this guy, and he did the impulsive podcast with his brother, and his mum was on there as well, and he basically said, "Yeah, I mean, I'd survive longer than Ngannou. You know, I think he's kind of shit." So he's already laying the groundwork to possibly do that one next year,
In
because
Ghana.
obviously he did offer Ngannou the fight first, and Ngannou did turn it down. So that could be a way that he's going like, yeah, well, he took out Ngannou in two. He like I went six, so that means that must make me better than him. That's the logic he's applying, and there's enough silly people that will believe that because they don't understand dynamics and
It will make the money.
Yeah. Also, I would say what he's done there, which I thought is now because he's gone in there and took like what people say is like a suicide mission.
You
He
sound muffled, Danny.
sorry.
It's all right. You sound all right now. You sound a bit muffled then. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, because of what he's done, he's taken such a a suicide mission hard fight. Him as a promoter now, if fighters talk about, oh, I don't know about this fight or getting in there, he's like, well, I got in there with Anthony Joshua, so you can get in
Get on
there.
with it.
Like, yeah, you can't say I haven't taken a punch in the face before. What does he know? I'm not one of those promoters. I've been in there. I've had fights. I've been in that with Anthony Joshua. I got my jaw broke. So you got to fight this fight. Like there ain't no gimme fights, no knockover jobs. You're going to be in proper fights because I went in a proper fight. So it's
and
kind of
also no, so you're right, but also in that sense, him taking this fight allows him to, if he goes back in the ring, because some people, he says he's going to, a lot of people don't think he will, but he can now do all of the showcase fun fights that he wants to do up until his next big challenge, because he's now got that cachet where no one can say that, oh, all the everything's a gimmick because look who I was just fighting.
Yep.
So now that I've done that, if I want to now fight Tank Davis or someone, if he decides to, or he gets cleared or whatever, or anything like that, or I want to fight these, these smaller cruiserweight guys, or anyone from the influencer realm, the
Andrew
KSI
Tate.
type thing, like he can do all it. Well, I don't know if you're gonna take that one. That's I think Craig still needs to build his profile a little bit for that payday. But but you get it. Like he those kind of fights, he can literally do all of that now, and no one can really say much because
He's a businessman.
yeah, he's got the cachet to do it at least for like two or three events before the next serious one has to happen if that's what he wants to do. So
Businessman.
yeah. I mean, look, it was the event in it as a whole. I want to, yeah, we sort of spoke about that all week. Give a little bit of shine to some of the undercard. Um, Caroline Dubois had a very good performance against Camila Panata, but again, because it was a short notice thing, there's only so much credit I'm prepared to give. It's not, it wasn't like one of the top tops in the division, but good debut. Happy to see sort of where she's sort of what her trajectory is, and I'm sure I have to message her in a few days, well, when her birthday comes around. Um, there was also the fight of the night, according to got the 100K bonus from MVP, which was Shanika Johnson against Amanda Gale. Um, bloodbath, as usual. I mean, I don't think you can have a Shanika Johnson fight without copious amounts of blood at this point, and I it was very entertaining to watch. She's really come on since the fight with Ellie Scottney. She's changed up her style. She stopped trying to be the boxer and has actually become more of an aggressive pressure fighter, and it's working for her. And her especially moving down from 122 to 118, or moving back to 118, I should say, like her natural size advantage over the girls at 118 makes it a much easier task to be that big aggressive pressure fighter. Plus the fact that she is pretty well schooled as well. Um, Jamal Harvey also did well on the opening. Obviously Anderson Silva, big sort of big legend in MMA world, nasty uppercut to Tyrone Woodley. But I think that one uppercut dispels any notions that Tyrone Woodley motioned to Jake Paul to throw the shot or to take the dive in the second fight or all of that stuff, because you can just see that he's very, very open from a boxing sense. And yeah, someone like Anderson Silva, 51 years young, still putting people to sleep. Love to see it. Um, Alicia Baumgardner against what was the old lady's name? Oh, Layla Boudouin. Good fight. Some people, I heard some people, well, I'm not heard some people, I heard one person in particular whose name is not going to be mentioned, say that they found or they thought the fight was boring and she was putting people to sleep, even though they didn't watch the fight. They actually fast forwarded through the majority of it and then went onto social media to decide that, oh, this is a boring fight. No, the fight was very good. And the 12 3 minute rounds, the 3 minute rounds actually, they benefit her. She didn't appear tired in this fight. She always had issues where she gassed out or she looked like she was visibly gassing midway through the 2 minute rounds. But in these 3 minutes, she seemed perfectly composed for the bulk of it. Only really in the 11th and 12th did she even get into a fight that she didn't need to. But yeah, perfect stance, punch picking, selections. She started going to the body a bit too late, in my opinion. Didn't start until sort of like round 8, 9 onwards, and then ultimately her going to the body in the 11th is what ended up getting her caught with the sort of the big right hand that she did take. But even that round, I gave her the round personally. But yeah, I just thought it was a really good performance. I enjoyed watching the fight. I thought that Boudouin would have been out of there in the ninth after sort of getting dropped at the end of the seventh, and just her body language didn't seem like she had the energy to carry on going. But grit and determination, them Canadian ladies, very strong. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and as you said, Red, I thought the entire event and production was top class. Top class presenters, panelists, lighting. I mean, I could have done without maybe the whole 6 9 thing, but um, I was definitely happy to see Freeway, and I didn't even hear. I couldn't even tell what tune he was playing when I was on my watch because I wasn't didn't have the sound up. It's only when I've gone back and then everyone's telling me about what we do. I'm like, oh, okay. So he went cold Freeway because I wasn't sure if it was going to be like flip side or something. So but yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing. Danny, what did you think of any of the undercard? If you watched any of it, or who or what fight stood out to you?
Yeah, I only watched two of the undercard fights, and I watched them actually today. So I watched Alicia and I watched Caroline Dubois. Caroline Dubois, um, yeah, decent performance. Dropped the girl in the sixth round with a left hook, um, and then yeah, good punch picking. But it wasn't to me. It just a, it wasn't a great performance. It wasn't a performance that made her stand out. I know she was saying she wanted to show everyone and put everyone on notice and put Alicia on notice that she's the biggest puncher and the number one in the world, etc. But that performance just didn't do it for me. Even though and the opponent, she had bundles of heart, still trying to fire away to the body and work on the inside with Caroline. Even though you could see she was outgunned and outmatched. Caroline was boxing well on the back foot, landing counters and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't a great opponent. It wasn't really a performance, as I said, that was going to make someone like Alicia lose sleep or the other girls lose, too much sleep. But yeah, decent performance nonetheless. Alicia, I thought she looked really good. She looked more like how she actually performs on the pads when she does her drills with the trainer, rather than always trying to fire every shot, being like 100% trying to wipe them out. Maybe it is a 3 minute thing where she can slow down, because when you're in the gym, she probably most likely is working to a 3 minute clock rather than a 2 minute clock. So she hasn't got to really rush her work now. So she's actually can fight like how she's training. And then because in the sixth round, she used that exact same chop over the top, which she landed on
Terry
the British
Harper,
Very
girl, on
Harper.
Terry Harper, which put
get to
the girl
sleep.
down. Yeah, yeah, but that's the one that put the girl down this time. The exact same chop shot, and she smiled when she went down. Like yeah,
I
that's
remember that.
my little signature move there.
Mm.
And from there, as you said, she started working the body late, where she should have maybe done it earlier, but maybe she thought, let me try and break her up now, and then try and get the finish. She was landing some good shots, hurt her a few times, but yeah, good jab and movement, and she looked very composed and on point to me. So yeah, I think it was a good performance.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So I guess with that, let's wrap it up for the night and let everyone enjoy the rest of their Christmas Eve. Any final thoughts? Because I mean, I'm not sure. There is a chance we may go next week, but not 100%
You
sure.
might not, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them ones. So we made this may be the last one for the year, or you might get a nice little tasty preview to 2026. But anything that you guys want to mention to the audience that are tuned in?
Danny, do you want to go
I
first?
haven't managed to watch the fight yet, but I have to give a congratulations to Sia Satsumi, who beat Nonito Donaire on points during the week in Japan. So I will have to go and watch that. Also, great performance by Shatta Wale at the Ghana card in the Legon Sports Stadium at the Craig Richards Dan Azeez fight as well. That was really good to see. And a lot of artists are coming over. Buster Rhymes in town, Cisco, Beanie Man. So they're really about for this Detty December, which is really taking off in in the West African continent. So yeah, big ups to all the people out there. And yeah, Ghanaians, they really love Jamaicans. Like they love the culture, the music. They love reggae. They love Bob Marley. They love Haile Selassie, Marcus Garvey. You know, I was taking pictures. I couldn't believe how much, like, you know what I mean? They've got Aki's there. They've got Sorrel there, which they call Zabolo. They've got Banku, which is cuckoo, which the Bajans eat. You know, so there's a lot of Caribbean. Yeah, man, it's just a lovely. I just can't. Yeah, it's something that I'm gonna and something I feel I'm very so happy for Craig. I said to him, this is going to be one of your Werther's originals moments when you're an
Homecoming.
old man with the slippers up, telling the grandkids, back in my day, and it's all documented.
Red.
Yeah, just thank you to Fight Talk Live. All of us that have been going, I don't know how long we've been going for now, but we're here. We've made it through another year, 2026, more to come. And a special thanks to all of the viewers, those of you that choose to spend your time locked in with us, putting your comments in, your opinions. You might see us smiling occasionally. Don't always get to put them up on the screen, but we do see what is in the comments. So you know what to do, all the magical stuff. Subscribe to the channels, put the notifications on. Like Bay said, we might be here next week, or we might do a 2026 New Year's Eve preview, whatever. Don't know. We'll see what it happens. But from the bottom of my heart, what's left of it, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you and have a Merry Christmas because that's what I celebrate. Whatever you celebrate, that's down to you. So happy, whatever. And yeah, have a good one.
Okay, well, look, just before we go, ladies and gentlemen, there is one last thing that we do need to sort out. If you remember, about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, um, there was a bet that was put on between myself and Danny Glover, or at least the prospect of a bet, whereby he believes that David Benavidez will return to the light heavyweight division after his escapades up at Cruiser. I've told him categorically that's not going to happen. He was meant to put a couple of weeks ago whether or not he accepted the offer. Now he did in principle. I believe he tried to lowball me with the figure. However, I am going to accept. So you guys won't know what the figure is, but I'm going to accept his offer. I'm going to accept his terms in totality. It means I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer for my money, but the money is coming. Basically, that's so we've agreed. He has accepted. He's taken the bet, and just so you guys know, it is documented that he will be yeah he will be paying me out yet again.
No, you'll be paying me, but the bet's on.
All right. Well,
And October Red is there as a official um, declaration who was there to witness the terms and conditions. So, and anyways, we don't even need to do all that because I'm an honourable man. I know you're honourable, so we don't even need to go around. We don't go running and putting goalpost swings and all that kind of nonsense. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to do all that. But yeah, it's on.
all right, good stuff. Well, look, everyone in the chat, thank you lot all for giving us your time every week that we are here. it was a bit all over the place in terms of what days it was going to be, what times. A lot of the time, a lot of that was due to us trying to work with Maestro and the UK, the US time zone as well, which can be a bit tricky. Now that that's not necessarily an issue anymore, we've been a bit more consistent across the board. I hope you guys do recognize that. Yeah, at times we might have to push it back 10, 15 minutes. We all still do operate BPT, unfortunately, but we show up and we try to give you as honest a take as we can. Sometimes we are right, sometimes we are misinformed, but we're never wrong. That's the main thing about the channel. um yeah. But look, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, thank you very much for tuning in with us. It is Christmas Eve, so if you do celebrate, as I said, have a Merry Christmas tomorrow and a Happy Boxing Day with all of the nice sales, and then possibly leading into the new year. If you don't celebrate it, happy holidays, happy rest day. I hope you get the chance to just eat copious amounts of food, have food comas, and do it without any guilt. But I also want to say, for any boxers that happen to have to, have fights in January, I'm sorry, but I will eat for you. I'll take your calories. It's not a problem. Um, but yeah, everyone, much love. We will possibly be back in the shortly in the new year, maybe next week. Don't forget, as they said, like and subscribe to all the channels. If you've gone through each individual one, make sure that you leave a comment, leave a post or whatnot. And yeah, we will catch you in the next week, Danny. If you in the next year, sorry. So Danny, if you want to do your sign outs, we can leave.
And there you have it, guys. Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year if we don't see you until the new year. Craig Richards, we done it again. Pineapple upside down cake, rice and peas, curry goat. You know the set. Oxtail, it's all coming. Salmon, fried fish. But yes, it's Danny Glover. It's October Red. It's Base the Kid. Until next time, remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.